2 minutes.
Sound system is on, and I'm going to make sure the stream is working.
Gabby, you sit here?
I sit here, and Rabbi sits here.
The last name is Kissel?
Yeah, it's French.
Kissel?
Kiesel.
Kissel? Are you French?
My husband's family is French.
Oh.
My maiden name is Jochowitz. Jochowitz. My family.
Jochowitz.
Right, and my family's from Krakow.
Oh, have you been back?
Supposed to go. Marching a living to lead a choir in Auschwitz. Remember, it was like the anniversary of
Right.
when COVID hit. 15,000 people. It was all planned. So
We'll go again.
I've definitely been.
I was never there, but I've led 2 missions for FIDF there. And Ellen, we were in one of them. Ellen went there. It's quite.
I heard Krakow is a very nice city.
Do we have any water up here? Inside? I noticed we.
I'm gonna get you water. Here we go. It is working now.
Is
So
this one?
I want to get you a. Is that unopened? If it's
No, it was open.
Yeah, let me get you.
Probably more.
here. So, just so you know, this is the bima,
Right.
and so if I just want you to show you the shot, so see how we're covered. That's my tushy, your head. So we're in it. It's 3 seconds behind us.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. Let me get you some water.
Thank you. Still pretty well, huh? Yeah. Today the scab is going to be high.
Yeah.
When you come up, you can take a few minutes to speak, and then you can go.
Where you're sitting.
Sorry?
Where the matter is.
You sit in front? Yeah, you sit in front.
Peter, I'm putting your water right here. How are you guys?
Aaron,
So what happened
we're
is-
inviting one more. We're inviting one more person up. Linda Bennett.
Dennis,
Oh, she's-
when did you speak to her? Because she, well then she said, oh, because she can tell. The story was
So
that
just
they
the
were at
people that
some,
we talked to?
they were at a funeral of some friend.
Okay.
Peter, here's your water.
Whatever you need. Okay, then we should. Is everyone sitting in? It's out there? Is everyone out there in?
I just want to remind everyone to silence your electronic devices. I'm doing that.
It's not Shabbat, but we should, for the sake of our electronics, pretend that it is. Say Shabbat Shalom to them. We are here today because there's a lot of love. And I'd like to ask a question that I often ask, and I get the same answer every time. How many of you would not want to be here today if it meant not knowing Lorraine? And that's the beautiful piece. You know, we're not guaranteed a day with somebody, and every day that we get is truly a gift. And too often we take those gifts for granted, and then we get hurt because we didn't get the next not promised gift. And so today we are to celebrate a life that has touched so many and a family that has touched so many. And that's the beauty of our tradition. Before we leave today, you're going to hear the stories that are going to make you laugh and reflect and cry. And yet the final words that we're going to share are words saying, thank you, God, for the blessings in life, the words of Kaddish. They don't mention death. They remind us how incredibly important it is to celebrate every day that we're here. So teach us, O God, to number our days that we may gain hearts of wisdom. Give us the opportunity to share and to love and to let people know that they're loved and to hold memories that we can cherish. I can tell you that for me, the first time I walked through your house, Jeff, and I got the tour of the dolls, that was just an amazing gift, and the collection is incredible. And the display is as if they were living and breathing in their own little world and environment. But that's kind of how your wife ran life, is to make sure that everything functioned and everything was going the way it was supposed to go. You know, she may have only formally taught for 1 year, but she taught her entire life. Living Torah, if I may. So life is eternal, and love is immortal, and death is only a horizon. And a horizon is nothing more than the limit of our sight. We know that we are all going to travel this path someday. We don't know when it's going to come, but we know that there's always something beyond which we can see. So long past the time that we can hold on to someone's hand, they continue to hold on to our hearts. And so I'm going to, at this point, ask my colleague and new friend, Rabbi Peter Weintraub, to come up and to help begin the celebration of such an incredible life.
We've been together a lot, this group. Most of us have been together a lot. 3 weddings, a couple of baby namings. We've been together at the happy moments. And now we're here together at one of the most sorrowful moments in our lives. But as Rabbi Klein just mentioned, all part of a continuum. We would like more. We always would like a little bit more time. We would like more. So today we gather to remember the beautiful life of Lorraine. Leah, the daughter of Sadie and David. Jeff is writing notes as I'm talking. I mean, this is just perfect. I love it. Jeff, I love you. He's writing notes as I'm talking. I'm about to mention your name as the dear husband, and you're going to not remember because you're taking notes. I love you, Jeff. I love you, Jeff. If Lorraine were here, she'd say, Jeff, stop taking notes. It's a service. Where do I start? Amazing wife to you, Jeff. Amazing. beloved mother to you, Bonnie, and Eric, and Todd, loving grandmother of Jessica, and Jared, and Samantha, and Ashlyn, and Shane, and Jack. Dear sister of Larry and the late Martin, daughter of David and Sadie, who was gone unto eternity. We had a small service, funeral service, a few weeks ago, where we honored Lorraine's life with joy and with sorrow, with tears and with laughter. And today is really a celebration of Lorraine's life. As I said to Todd earlier, the wound of death may never heal. The scab is being pulled off a bit today as the healing process has just started. It takes a long time to heal. I've been where you are sitting. It takes a long time to heal. Today's service will be a celebration with children speaking, friends speaking, Jeff speaking if he can finish his notes. I'll be saying a few words, some beautiful song, a few glorious prayers. A prayer that I love, which speaks of life, which is probably the most familiar psalm to Jews in America and perhaps around the world, the 23rd Psalm, the Lord is my shepherd. Mizmor LeDavid, a song of praise to David, Adonai ro'i lo echsar. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. God makes me to lie down in green pastures. God leads me beside still waters, restores my soul. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and staff, they comfort me. You have prepared a table before me in the presence of mine enemies, and have anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of God forever. We will first hear from the kinder, from the children, from Todd and from Eric and from Erin, followed by a bit of beautiful music from Cantor Clissold, Gabby Clissold. Then we'll hear from Larry, dear brother, and Bruce, and Ellen Weintraub, my wife, followed by a reading that Ellen will do for Ellen Wald, who was unable to be here today. Then, after another beautiful piece of music, we will hear from Jeffrey, who wanted to speak last, but I told him, no, I get that job. So, Jeffrey, I'll just follow you. And then we will hear the beautiful prayer of memory, El Malei Rachamim, sung by the cantor, and we will say Kaddish together, led by Rabbi Klein, with me by his side, and we as a community joining in. So with that, let me call you up, Eric and Todd and Erin, to come. You can sit right here and speak. Eric first, and then Todd, and then Erin.
My mom was many different things to many different people. She was a friend, a wife, a grandmother, a sister, an aunt, a cousin. But to me, she was my mom. She was a wonderful mom. She wasn't a perfect mom. It just takes having kids of your own to know it's impossible to be a perfect parent. It's a learn-on-the-go sort of job and a hard one at that. But she knew the secret ingredient to being a wonderful mother. She loved us beyond words. Our happiness was her happiness. She lived for us. She lived for her family. She told me many times that friends will come and go, though you should feel lucky if you can make a few good friends during your lifetime and cherish those friendships. But your family will stay with you forever. She created a glue to keep our family close. That was probably her most important wish, other than our happiness and health, for all of us to be together. She loved her family, and she loved when we were all together. I can go on and on about all the values she instilled in me, her kindness and generosity towards other people, her integrity, her resilience, her strength, her courage. Most of you already know these qualities of my mom. She had a strength and courage that few other people have. She met head-on any obstacle that would come her way, confront it, and keep going on. I saw this over and over again throughout the entirety of my life. Even when she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer, she had an attitude I believe few people could ever embody. There was no deep depression, no sense of defeat. She was ready to do whatever she had to do to fight it. She was a caregiver in every sense of the word. She cared for her children relentlessly. We always had her behind us, pushing us, gently directing us, loving us. She cared for her husband, my dad, in a way like very few, if any, husbands are cared for. I stress if any. Many of you know exactly what I mean by this, and we can just leave it at that. I'll just say she was definitely the foundation of the household. She took care of her mother, Grandma Sadie, and her father, Grandpa David, in their old age in a way that is hard to fathom, all the way to the very end of their lives. She was always there for them. She made sure they had everything they needed, food, clothes. She took them to their doctor's appointments. She made sure they were taking the correct medications. She went grocery shopping for them. Most importantly, she would just spend time with them until she could no longer. There was no project she couldn't handle or manage. Anything that went wrong in the house, she knew what to do and took care of it. She managed the business end of my dad's ENT practice for the entirety of his career. That was a remarkable feat. I don't know how she did it all by herself. I could have not done what she did. She kept my dad's practice thriving from a business perspective all of those years. She loved her dolls and her miniatures. She spent her entire adult life collecting dolls and miniatures, and probably had one of the most beautiful collections anywhere in the nation. Our home growing up displayed her dolls and miniatures beautifully. They were everywhere, but so nicely displayed that anyone new who came into the house was always amazed. She had even a separate gallery in the house, which we called the doll gallery. I grew up with this and really took it all for granted simply because I grew up with it. A few times, though, as I got older, I took a moment to admire the collection and take a step back and really see what she put together. It was an unbelievable collection and display of it that very few people could ever accomplish. But what I really just want to say is that I miss her. I miss not being able to see her face. I miss that she can no longer come up and see us and Ashlyn and Shane. I miss that we can no longer go out for dinner together. I miss that we can no longer take a vacation together. But what I'm going to miss most about her are the phone calls. I talked about this at the burial service. I would talk to my mom almost every day. The conversations would be 5 minutes or 1 hour, if not longer sometimes. I would call her on my way home from work, if I was out driving, doing some errands, or if I was just bored. She was the talker, I was the listener. She loved to update me on how everyone in the family was doing. She would talk to me about Dad, about herself, Bonnie, Todd, and their families. She always wanted to know how Sabrina and the kids were doing. I would give my 5-minute spiel, and then she would go on talking. She would give me advice, whether asked for or not, but I never minded, and in truth, her advice was always sound and usually spot on. But I loved to listen to her. Over the past few months before she passed away, she said to me a few times that she loves talking to me because we have the best conversations. I found this funny because she did most of all the talking. But what I realized is that a good conversation is not just when two people enjoy talking to each other. It's equally good when two people enjoy listening to each other. I will miss listening to her. My mom was a very special person. I really can't express to you just how special of a person she was. I do not know what happens after we die. I only hope that our spirits exist on. If that's the case, I know my mom will be up there watching over all of us until the day we die. She will be up there with Grandma Sadie and Grandpa David and Uncle Martin in a happy place looking down, continuing to guide us all, doing what she always did best.
As mom's late-in-life surprise, or the baby, as everyone here knows me, I'm pretty much the definition of a mama's boy. I spoke to her pretty much every day throughout the course of my adult life. I spoke to her about anything and everything. Many times it was a quick 1 minute, hey, how you doing, what's going on? While many other times it was to ask for advice or for an opinion on something. And God knows, although they're typically caveated with, I'm not telling you what to do, but, or you do what you want to do, but if it were me, or now don't get mad at me, but I'm just going to give you my honest opinion. Mom always had an opinion. Whether it was as trivial as, you can't wear jeans to Paul and Larry's for Rosh Hashanah, or something much more important, like the two larger-than-life holly trees that sat smack in front of our new house that, quote, had to go. Mom was never shy about voicing what she thought. It was true even until the very end. As the Sunday after she was admitted into the hospital, she clearly thought the plain linen window treatment we were considering for the family room was too soft and was going to get lost in the room. She was obviously right. We ended up going with the other option. Anyone who knows me knows just how prevalent my mom was in my life. In fact, my old job at Garrison, our whole real estate team sat at desks in an open trading floor configuration, so there really wasn't any such thing as privacy. The team quickly got used to the random calls throughout the day that usually went something like, hey mom, what's up? Yeah, I'm at work. It's 11 a.m. on Tuesday. What? Okay, I'll look at that for you a little later. I can't do it right now. She'd call me at work so often that not so long into my stint at Garrison, one of the guys printed out a picture of the cute kid with the spiky hair from Jerry Maguire from the scene where he's on the phone with Jerry's client, Rod Tidwell, and added the caption, Mom, to the bottom of the picture and hung it right up next to my phone. I embraced it. Mom, at the end of the day, while I didn't always agree with all of your opinions, I did always value your advice and took what you had to say to heart. The truth is that you played such an integral role in shaping who I am as a person today. You taught me right from wrong. You instilled countless important life lessons and values in me from starting when I was a young boy that have molded me. And I can only hope that I'll be as good of a parent to Jack and Aaron and my future children as you were to me, Bonnie and Eric. As a parent, you're my gold standard role model. One of Mom's other most amazing qualities was her love for and how big of an advocate she was for her family. She was so proud of me, Bonnie and Eric, and all of her grandchildren. Personally speaking, she had this incredible ability to always make me and once Erin and Jack came into the fold, my family feel special. She was so positive towards us all the time, and everything we did was amazing in her eyes. It goes all the way back to when I was a kid, always telling everyone, "Isn't he so handsome? He's so smart. He's such a good athlete." You would have thought I would have been a shoo-in for prom king by listening to her. Well, over the years, that never stopped, let alone slowed. In fact, it only grew stronger with her effusive and constant loving praise for Jack. She loved playing with him on the floor. She got so much joy watching Sesame Street with him on the couch, clapping hands and singing the Letter of the Day song. It sounds silly, but she got such a kick out of just watching him eat. She would gaze and laugh in awe with every new food he would inevitably try, usually while dancing to whatever song was on in the kitchen. Jack is such a happy and positive kid, just like his ma. Even though it was for way too short of a period of time, it was just so abundantly clear the unique and everlasting bond that the two of them shared. And that will be impossible for me to ever forget. What this generally boils down to is that I think no matter how self-confident someone may be, sometimes in life, you need those people who stand behind you wholeheartedly as your number one fan. And Mom was exactly that person. I could go on, but the things I'll miss the most are the small things. The random stopovers for only 10 minutes that inevitably always lasted at least an hour. Many times would she'd show up with something random and excessive, like 10 glass bowls from the dollar store, the day after Erin would casually mention that one of ours that she had previously gotten us broke. I'll miss the quick 2-minute phone calls just to check in. I'll miss just simply hearing her voice. I'll always miss you, Mom. But it'll be impossible to ever forget you.
Good afternoon. Today is the first time that I've ever had to prepare a speech like this, and truthfully, I did not know how to begin. At 37 weeks pregnant and with serious insomnia, always at 3:45 in the morning, I figured I'd just turn to my usual search these days, which is, what does the name X mean? So allow me to share with you my findings about what it said about the name Lorraine. It says about Lorraine, you always bring to completion anything you start. You're generous, but like to see returns from your giving. You have an executive ability, and you're a leader. You're moral, balanced, honest, and intellectual, and you may attain spirituality. You're wise and practical with an appreciation of beauty. You're frank, methodical, and believe in order. And you can be very sensitive and could appear a bit shy and perceptive. Okay, so the shyness part, that's like way off, but we'll continue. And the final thing, it says you've developed intuition, patience, and the ability to nurture others. In the 5 short years that I've known Todd, these are so many of the attributes that I've been fortunate enough to witness day in and day out, and have been on the receiving end from a woman who not only treated me like a daughter, but who I truly considered a mother. I would like to share with you the story of the first time I met Lorraine, Jeff, of course. After about 4 weeks into meeting Todd, what was presented to me as a casual, let's go to a concert next Friday and head to the beach the next day, just the two of us overnight, was followed up with a phone call the day before saying, hey, so I promised my parents weren't supposed to be around, but my mom just told me that their plans had changed, and now they're not leaving until Saturday night. Is that okay? I laughed and said, of course it's okay, but please make sure that you like me because parents love me, so once I meet them, you're going to be stuck with me forever. In truth, that confident statement was more to calm my own nerves. But needless to say, after importing a New York City Bread's chocolate babka, more to come on that in a minute, the first meeting was a great success. It was during this first meet that the "you are generous but like to see returns from your giving" trait was apparent, as the weekend ended with Mom unloading what seemed like a countless number of Grandma Sadie's cut crystal bowls and serving pieces on me, even after just meeting me for a few hours. Was the return marrying Todd? I don't know, unclear at the time, but that's just who Mom was. She'd give anything to anyone if she thought it would bring them the slightest bit of joy, and seeing someone's smiling face would bring her just as much joy in return. There was another amazing quality of Mom's that shone through from the moment I met her that weekend, and it's something I will dearly miss. When I handed Mom the babka shortly after walking into the house, you would have thought that I presented her with a 5-carat diamond necklace. She was so over the moon ecstatic and so thankful, and no joke, she still brings up that silly babka even 5 years later. Over the years, I've learned very quickly that no matter how small the gesture, Mom always made you feel like you were doing what was just so incredibly amazing. She loved to make people feel good about themselves and all that they do. Her generosity and knack for giving eventually filtered down to our son, Jack. Just about the time he turned 1, nearly a year ago, Todd and I bought a house in the area, which not only gave us the ability to spend such incredible quality time with Mom and Dad, but it also afforded Jack the opportunity to really get to know them. As Jack was just hitting a stride and starting to be able to recognize and engage with people, Grandma and Grandpa, who he coined just as Ma and Pa, saw and spoke with Jack nearly every day. It was then that the competition between Lorraine and Jeff would begin, as I often received phone calls from both sides asking me not to share with one another that the other is happening to stop over for a visit so that they can get their alone time. As expected from Mom, she quickly won the battle and earned the title of Jack's best friend. Was it the treat she always had hidden in her pocketbook? Not sure, but with a treasure trove in Ma's pocketbook each time she saw Jack, ranging from a perfectly rationed Ziploc bag of oyster crackers to an abundance of toy cars, Pa, you had no fighting chance. And with that, the doorbell would ring, and sight unseen, Jack would drop literally everything to run to the door, greet Ma, and insist on carrying her pocketbook that was nearly as big as him when he was so young. Jack was lucky enough to be one of the last people to get to spend quality time with her. Less than 24 hours before going to the hospital, Ma came by for a visit. Todd was out golfing with my brother, and I was in desperate need for a mani-pedi. Mom insisted that I leave to take some time for myself, which is something that she often genuinely emphasized the importance of. As I was sitting in the pedicure chair, I could not resist. I took a peek on the camera, which I never do, in our playroom, just to see what the two best friends were up to. Ma and Jack were in their usual positions, sitting cross-legged on the floor in literally the exact same way, with Jack showing Lorraine his array of trucks and set of wooden cleaning tools. She was showing him how to Swiffer his arm, and he was returning the favor. That's just always how they played. Jack always followed her lead, soaking in as much new knowledge as he could. Each day over the last 3 weeks, and especially whenever we're going to see someone, there are countless requests for her from him. Whenever he picks up a toy that she gives him, seemingly half of his playroom, a simple "Ma" is said, and I can feel that he misses her, as we all do. To be honest, our time living down here together was cut way too short, but nevertheless, I'm thankful for the memories we were able to make, and I'm also thankful that Jack and our newest addition in just a few weeks will be able to continue to experience the perks of living so close to Jeff. I'm beyond grateful to have Lorraine forever part of my life and deeply appreciate how she so warmly embraced my family, considered them an extension of her own. I've missed her immensely every single day, and will always miss the little things, like the many phone calls when all of a sudden the line would cut out, and 5 minutes later, or sometimes even longer, I'd get a call back from Lorraine laughing. She didn't realize her phone died, and she just had a whole phone conversation with herself. Thank you.
Okay. I wasn't planning on talking. I did write something down. Todd had asked me if I had wanted to speak. I immediately said no. Not one for public speaking, but listening to them and the things that I had written down for myself, I think I want to share with you. Todd and Eric talked about how close they were and how often they would speak with her every day on the phone. Most of you know I live in Maine, and what you don't know is I'm probably not the best at keeping in touch. Thus, there'd be times, let's just say, a little too much time would pass. I would say, I need to pick up the phone. I'd pick up the phone, and it would go something like this. I'd be like, hi, Mom. And she would be like, oh, hi, Bonnie. Nice to hear from you. And maybe, she goes, maybe you can pick up the phone more and call your mother. I would secretly roll my eyes. I would say, yes, you're right, and change the subject, but I would then get my fill, as Eric and Todd told you, you really don't have to say much. And then I'd hang up, go about my day, and about the kid, go about the day with my kids and my life. Well, I've heard people talk about losing a parent, including my own mom, who would talk about when she lost her mom, and not being able to see or speak to them. And I have to say that I did not fully understand that impact until now. Life definitely quickly passes us by, and yes, we can take some things for granted. I don't think I have to explain to all of you here how much family meant to her. Nothing was more important than that. Mom, I could always count on you for your support, for your help. You were there for me in good times, in bad times. You taught me the value of being a mother and how wonderful and how special it is. And yes, sometimes a little difficult, but we all know that. And I was able to watch you develop that special relationship with your grandchildren as well. I could go on and on with multiple stories of amazing childhood memories that kept flooding my mind when I was thinking about her. But you know how much, Mom, I love you. And I know everyone here, without a doubt, knows how much you valued your job as a mother, as a wife, as a grandmother. When you passed, my friend Amy, who cannot be here today, wrote something that has stuck with me and has been super meaningful and powerful. She wrote, Bonnie, the finality is devastating. The mercy, a relief. Death shreds our hearts. We are never ready for life without our mother. But I believe yours has prepared you well for the future without her. Mom, you have indeed done your job well. I am more than prepared because of you, and I look forward to carrying on your amazing family values for my children and hopefully my grandchildren. I love you more than you know.
Sheviti Adonai Lenegdi Tamid Sheviti Adonai Lenegdi Tamid. God is always, always right here by my side. God is always, always right here by my side. Sheviti Adonai Lenegdi Tamid Sheviti Adonai Lenegdi Tamin.
Lorraine and I had a very special relationship. We always looked out for each other. Growing up, she always protected me, except she admitted when I was first born, I came home from the hospital, she admitted that she did toss me in the garbage. Luckily, Mom was there to rescue me. She admitted that a number of times. As kids, we had great times growing up together, playing in our backyard and around the neighborhood in Freehold. Often the two of us had to team up together to defend against Martin's attacks. But the three of us had lots of fun together, despite Martin's tendency to tease and torment us. Together, Lorraine and I often did get the better of him, but in the end, we all loved each other very, very much, and those childhood antics evolved into respect and love for each other. As adults, Lorraine and Jeff, Martin and Laura, and Paula and I were all very close. We shared many special times together. Our trip to England, our trip to the Pacific Northwest, the poker cruise, weekends at the Copake bike auction with our dad, and countless family gatherings, countless family celebrations, holidays, and dinners spent together. Most special of our dinners together were those ones in recent years. Almost every week, almost always at Huddy's, where we talked about life or family and just enjoyed each other's company and reminisced. Those dinners meant so much to all of us. Lorraine was a wonderful sister to me and to Martin, Laura, and Paula. There wasn't anything Lorraine wouldn't do for us, and there wasn't anything we wouldn't do for her. It's the little things that I'll miss, as everyone has said. How she always needed me to fix her iPhone or iPad or manage her eBay or Audible accounts. How we compared our Netflix choices. We used to laugh about how she always told Jeff what he wanted to order for dinner. You know it's true. And I will never eat another crab cake again without thinking of Lorraine. She loved crab cakes. And she would always ask the waiter what the percentage of crab meat to breadcrumbs was before she decided whether she was going to order it or not. And she could tell you where you could get the best crab cakes. In fact, she could tell you what or where you could get the best of almost anything. She knew, or thought she did. And you could always depend on Lorraine to have a medical opinion on any ailment you might have. She didn't always agree with Jeff on a diagnosis, but more often than not, she was on the mark. I had great respect and admiration for Lorraine. She was smart, organized, and a planner, full of life and full of love. She ran Jeff's office and her home with passion and precision. An incredible wife, mother, and grandmother, her family was the centerpiece of her life, as everyone has talked about. Lorraine was also a remarkable daughter. She was devoted to our parents, and every detail of their happiness was important to her. She did so much to enhance our parents' lives, and she always took excellent care of them, especially when their health started to fail. No one cared more. I remember when she feared our dad's health was in question, and of course, knowing of his love of antique bicycles, she convinced the annual International Cycling History Conference to move their event location to Freehold so that he could be part of it, and he relished hosting that event. It's hard to imagine that Lorraine is gone. She was not ready to go yet. Even with her cancer diagnosis, she never lost hope. She never lost courage. She never gave up, and she never complained. She had so much to live for. Despite her love of life, I know that she strongly believed that when she was gone, she would be reunited with my parents, Martin, and the rest of the family. Since our father died, Lorraine always believed that the shiny pennies that she found on the ground was a sign from Dad. I used to tease her about it, but maybe that last shiny penny that Jeff found near her bed in the hospital was a sign that she was right. Lorraine, we all love you very much and will miss you forever. You will always be in our hearts and in our memories. Thank you.
It is customary at memorial services to extol the wonderful attributes of the person who is to be remembered. The family's done a spectacular job, but for Lorraine, it's always inadequate. You can't quite capture Lorraine. But I prefer to remember my friend Lorraine in a different way. Lorraine was an addict. Her dependency was always enabled by Jeff and tolerated by her children. To some degree, we can blame it on her father, David, who had a somewhat similar addiction. Lorraine's addiction problem is known by the psychiatric community as doll dependency. Some call it dollaholism. Yes, Lorraine collected these little people for years, going to shows and sales and schlepping Jeff halfway around the country in search of that very special doll that she needed. But we shouldn't blame Jeff for being an enabler. He did what he had to out of love for Lorraine. This was a somewhat Herculean effort to satisfy her cravings. Lorraine's condition was not a benign addiction. In fact, it led to Lorraine's accumulation of big dolls, people, friends. They were all captivated by Lorraine's warmth and loving nature. Lorraine was kind, always a friend, always there for us all. Lorraine's warmth, wisdom will be remembered by her, by us, and we will all miss her.
Lorraine lived life to the fullest. She was blessed to experience some of life's greatest joys and cursed to have suffered some terrible, debilitating illnesses. Lorraine was such a true and valued friend. She was a real person who was not afraid to express her pain points and disappointments. And as any of us who have reached a certain age, we know that we all have a fair share. Because she herself was so open, she let you be as well. There wasn't judgment, there was empathy. There was so much of life that we shared, so many challenges that we talked about and cried about. But don't think for a minute that being with Lorraine was only an opportunity to unload. Lorraine was the best raconteur ever. She could hold any audience captive. I can remember lunches or dinners out with Lorraine that I had to beg her to stop, lest my sides split open from so much laughter. She had a zest for life. What was so special about Lorraine is that she was so multidimensional. She loved going to the theater and did so often, and then you could talk about that. She was a voracious reader, and you could discuss all the books. She loved to travel and loved going to restaurants, and she was always happy to share those experiences, which informed so much of her depth and wisdom. Lorraine, I miss you so much already. I cherish the time we had together, and I wish we had more time together. I truly love you. Now, this part was written by her very good friend Ellen, who couldn't be here today. Dear Lorraine, I won't be here today, my dear, dear friend, but look around, which I know you are, and take notes, which you just might be doing. Look at all the people who love you. Everyone here and those who could not be here have a giant hole in their hearts. You left, and we don't have a place to put all that love we have for you. This is our grief. That is our journey, and that is our tremendous loss. I do take comfort, though, knowing that you are with Sadie and David and Martin, probably organizing heaven for when we all get there. Lorraine, I want to tell some of your secrets, the things that you shared with me when we were together. I want to tell all the people here how you loved your family. Most of us know that Jeff refuses to be organized, which is of a constant concern to you. Your thoughts and actions are organized, and Jeff never did fit into that. Sorry. Jeff never fit into that mold. But where he did fit in for you was love. How many times you told me that Jeff was a wonderful, loving man, a good father, a generous human being, a hard worker, and that if you needed him medically, he would turn over heaven and earth for you, and you loved him for all of that. If only he would learn to be organized and neat. Bonnie, Eric, Todd, Mom would tell me she knew that she had been given many privileges in life, but that God had truly blessed her with the three of you. Bonnie, she had so much pride in you and the strong woman that you have become. She was truly impressed with you. Eric, you touched her heart every day and were the only child that was so able to calm her down when practically no one else could. And Todd, you have the one sterling quality. Besides her love and admiration for you, you are organized, just like she is. She would always tell me that Todd will handle it, and I won't have to worry. Lorraine, I want to tell you and all your friends here about all of the mitzvahs you did. There are so many. I won't remember them all, but I remember how often I would tell you that what a wonderful thing you had just done. You bought sneakers and winter coats for the children of a mutual friend who was going through a hard time. The next winter, you sent the same family to the city to have lunch and to see the Christmas tree at Rockefeller Center. You baked for people who needed cheering up. You just recently went to visit your mother's cousin who was bedridden. You helped with your father's caretaker. You surprised Jean with a visit from her son. You were there for me whenever I needed to talk. You gave me advice, even when I didn't need it, and I loved you for every minute of it. Lorraine, we were just making plans to go to Florida. No husbands, just you and I, for as you put it, we can have a relaxing time. Lorraine, don't you remember me telling you that I don't know where you get your energy? I loved our trips to Florida and looked forward to our next one, but who considers relaxation as having an itinerary every day from 9 in the morning to sometimes 10 at night, driving around all of South Florida, antiquing and bargain hunting, and hitting our favorite restaurants? We would come home and I would drop everything and go to bed, while you stayed up organizing the day's purchases and returns and making a to-do list for the next day. Once, when the air conditioning had broken, I got up at 3 a.m. to take a cool shower in the 96-degree apartment, and I found you outside in one of your famous nightgowns, weeding the garden with a face as red as a beet. You were happy that the garden was neat. I was worried you'd have a stroke, but we laughed a lot, we talked a lot, and we understood each other. I loved our vacations together. I loved our lunches together, our outings together, and most of all, I love our friendship. You taught me so much, and I am grateful that you and our friendship will always be with me. Love, Ellen.
when all the world is a hopeless jumble and the raindrops tumble all around. Heaven opens a magic lane. When all the clouds darken up the skyway, there's a rainbow highway to be found, leading from your window pane to a place behind the sun, just a step beyond the rain. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly. Birds fly over the rainbow. Why then, oh, why can't I? If happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, why, oh, why can't I?
Take the mask all the way off.
I would like to thank all of you for being here today to share this beautiful celebration of a wonderful woman, my wife, Lorraine. And to start, Eric, Todd, Erin, Bonnie, the words you spoke today are absolutely beautiful, memorable, and thank you from the bottom of my heart. I want to thank Rabbi Peter, Rabbi Mark, and Cantor, Gabby for leading us in a beautiful service. I want to thank Larry's brother, Lorraine's brother, for absolute beautiful, memorable stories that you have told. And my friend Bruce Gordon, who's probably the longest term friend here, about 57 years. We met the first day of medical school, and it was actually he and his wife Maddie helped tremendously in ultimately allowing Lorraine and me to come together. So thank you for everything you've done, Bruce. And perhaps two of Lorraine's closest friends, Ellen Wambo and Ellen Weintraub, who you've heard. absolute beautiful letter that Ellen wrote to Lorraine, which has touched my heart, and it's just a wonderful memory. And Ellen, you have so beautifully expressed your love for Lorraine and recognized the kind of woman that she has been to you and everyone else. And to all of you sitting out here, and to all of you listening, wherever you are listening, I want to thank you all for the beautiful words that have come to me through telephone calls, messages, personal meetings. They have all given me heartfelt encouragement and have overwhelmingly replaced the loneliness and sadness that I feel at times. I would like to make reference to two individuals who, in my opinion, have stated the essence so beautifully of Lorraine, utilizing only two words. The first is one of Lorraine's close friends from the neighborhood where we live at Greenbrier Falls. And it's Leslie Margulies, who I'm sure is listening, who many months ago described to me Lorraine and used the one word: she is a magnet. Anyone who comes in contact with her is immediately attached. The second individual, which will clarify the words Leslie stated, is that of Dr. Elizabeth Jewell. Dr. Jewell was the operating surgeon for Lorraine's ovarian cancer. About 2 years ago, when Lorraine was diagnosed with ovarian cancer, I sought to get a consultation with Dr. Jewell, who was a well-known gynecologic surgeon at Memorial Sloan Kettering. I was successful in getting that consultation the same day I called. And Lorraine and I met with Dr. Jewell, and of course, Lorraine proceeded to give her history in her organized fashion with absolute correct medical knowledge. And approximately 15 minutes after that conversation, Dr. Jewell asked me to return home because there was an important piece of medical information that I had to obtain for her. So I left the two of them to continue their discussions. On the way back, I called Elizabeth to confirm that I had the appropriate material. And she said, "You know, Jeff, I have a connection with your wife. Magnet connection. Just two words." Well, on the second visit to Dr. Jewell, Lorraine and Elizabeth were already on a first-name basis. Of course, it took somewhat longer for me to obtain that privilege. So, you know, in the Jewish religion, as most of us here know, after the funeral service, there's a period of gathering known as Shiva. Shiva is actually, I believe, represents number 7. And typically, sitting Shiva lasts for 7 days. And that's a time when family, friends come to the home of the bereaved and bereaved family and offer comfort share good times and prayers, and it's very uplifting and helpful for the family to have that period of time to be with so many friends and family. It was the problem, of course, in case of Lorraine's funeral, the service occurred on the period of the time of what was known as Erev Rosh Hashanah, and in the Jewish religion, sitting shiva during those high holidays can only last for a period of hours until sundown at the time of the holiday. So it was Ellen Weintraub who said to me, you know, Jeff, you did miss the period of sitting shiva. I suggest, why don't you invite friends, family to come visit you after the holidays? And I thought about it immediately, and I said, you know, that's a wonderful idea. It would be so uplifting, and I would be happy to have people come to our home on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, and going on for years, because hearing all the wonderful things said about Lorraine has really been truly uplifting and to me. So I just have one adjustment to offer about that, because typically the sitting shiva is set up for a period of days, and it's set times, day or evening. But in this case, I welcome all people, day or night, but the only thing I would ask is that you please call me ahead of time so that any previously scheduled tennis, golf, or swimming events will be immediately canceled. And Lorraine standing right here with her big smile, shaking her head, recognizing that I have appropriately placed my priorities. I have one thing to add to the invitation, though. And as I discuss this with you, you can watch Lorraine with only half a smile, pinching my behind and kicking the back of my foot as I welcome all of you to come to our home, and please feel free to bring along food for us to enjoy. There's one other attribute and quality that I want to talk about Lorraine. She always said and had the feeling that things in life happen for a reason, whether it's for a happy event or a sad event. And in those sad events, Lorraine would always be offering comfort and joy to the individual or individuals, and always expressed optimism for the future for those people. I was recently blessed with that truism. A week ago Friday, I was spending the weekend with my children, Eric, Sabrina, and two grandchildren, Ashlyn and Shane, along with Sabrina's mother, Janice. That evening, from 10:30 p.m. to 3:30 a.m., and the next morning from 8:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., I watched the entire season 3 of Virgin River. Virgin River, as some of you may not know, was a series that depicted lives and actions of many people living in a small town in Northern California, a town known as Virgin River. The most impactful event for me concerned a woman named Lily. Lily was a recently widowed woman and had a 2-year-old granddaughter and a much older, a recent daughter, 2-year-old daughter and a much older daughter, all sharing good times together. And Lily was a strong, bright, happy lady who expressed her love for the people around her. And when she learned of that she had terminal pancreatic cancer, and told her immediate family and friends about this, there was an immediate outpouring of love, care, affection, and willingness to do anything for her. And at her funeral, the same words of affection and her being a wonderful woman was ushered. In this community, it was customary to return that evening to the family's home and offer a champagne toast tribute to the past individual. The last person to offer a toast was one of the protagonists in this series, in other words, a caring, loving, strong individual who actually was originally in the military and came to this town, and it was Lily who convinced him to stay. His quote, using the words of Winston Churchill, "We make a living by what we get. We get love by what we give. And what better tribute is there to this wonderful woman, my wife Lorraine, a grandmother, mother, sister, sister-in-law, aunt, cousin, and friend." And Lorraine, I want you to know you're a beautiful woman, and I thank you for all the wonderful things you've given me during my life. And these will be memories that I will cherish every day going forward for the rest of my life. Thank you so much.
When I was hugging Jeff on the bima, I said to him, "I love you," and you did keep it under 15 minutes. He said, "I surprised you, huh?" Because we rehearsed this a bit before, and he said, "Well, you know, Jeff." Every Friday night, at Shabbat tables around the world, and at every Orthodox Jewish wedding right in the middle of the festivities, 22 lines from the book of Proverbs are said, or mostly sung. 22 lines in alphabetical order from Aleph to Tav, the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet, beginning with the word Eshet, with an Aleph, a woman, and ending with the word Tenu, give. A woman gives. A special name has been given to those 22 lines, taken from the first two words, Eshes Chayil, a woman of valor. But that does not give justice to the actual Hebrew words, Eshes Chayil. Because the word chayil in Hebrew means a soldier, a woman who is a soldier. And I like that better when thinking of Lorraine. For what is a soldier? A soldier is one who protects, one who stands guard, one who puts others before themselves, one who never rests until the job is done. Yes, I like that better. And the book that we call the book of Proverbs, the Hebrew word mishle, from the Hebrew word mashal, which means an example, which means a role model, which means the ideal. Yeah, I like that better too. The book of ideals, the book of role models, beginning with a woman who never rests until the job gets done. That is Lorraine Roffman of blessed memory. And the words continue. A woman of valor, where can she be found? Her price is far above rubies. Or in Lorraine's case, a wonderful role model who soldiered on. She was truly priceless. Her husband's heart trusts her. With her, he lacks for nothing. She completes him, always wanting the best for him every day of her life. Now that is Jeff in a nutshell. We all know that as much as we love Jeff, and yes, Jeff, we love you a lot, your life lacked for nothing when Lorraine was by your side. As an aside, I didn't write this, but as an aside, Jeffrey has terrible sense of direction. Lorraine always had to direct him. Jeff got lost going to Lorraine's funeral. Now he remembers. That I didn't write. It continues, her hands are always busy. She is strong. She reaches out to the needy. She's good at business. She knows what to buy, how to plant, how to enjoy the fruits of her labors. She rises early in the morning, never sits still, for there is so much to do. She looks at her children who rely on her, who proclaim, "We are blessed." The 22 lines come to a crescendo at the end when it says, "There have been many soldiers in our midst, but you, the at, alit al kulana, you are the best." You were the best, my dear friend Lorraine, my dear advisor, my dear light. I will miss you. I will miss the hundreds, if not thousands of hours of free time you gave me. For every time you spoke to Ellen, I knew that I had at least 90 minutes to do something on my own. Lorraine's on the phone, I would say to Ellen, "See you in a while." And when I got back, "You're still on the phone with Lorraine?" I'll miss how much you thought of me. How just a few months ago, when you could have used your illness as an excuse, when Ellen and I had a wedding in Colts Neck and there were a few hours between the ceremony and the party, Lorraine insisted that we come and spend them with her. She prepared lunch, or should I say, a 6-course banquet, stating as each course was delivered, "Peter, don't worry, it's kosher, you can eat it. No crab cakes at that lunch, Larry." And then when I got tired, she said, "Peter, take a nap. I have a room set up for you upstairs, and you can just leave the room as you finish sleeping the way it is. And I said, nuh-uh, I know Lorraine. 40 minutes of sleep, 20 minutes of cleanup. I left that room. I will miss you. I will miss, how can I put it, her lack of filter. Now, how does that sound, lack of filter? What I really mean is I will miss the way you always said what was on your mind. At a dinner with the six of us, with Bruce and Maddie and Lorraine and Jeff, she perused the check and said in a voice which was loud enough for everyone in the restaurant to hear, "Jeffrey, don't ever let Peter order another bottle of wine." I thought she would forget. It was too expensive. I thought she would forget. Not with Lorraine, never. At every dinner, and I mean at every dinner, when I would grab the wine menu, she said, "Jeffrey, take it away from Peter. Don't let him order." Lorraine, I'll miss you. But I believe all of us here, will be strengthened by the poetic words of U. Robert Orr when he said, "They are not gone. They who pass beyond the clasp of hand, out of strong embrace. They are not gone. They who live in the hearts they leave behind, in those whom they have blessed. They are but come so close, we need not grope with hands, nor look to see, nor try to catch the sound of feet. They have put off their shoes. Softly they walk by day within our thoughts, and tread at night our dream-led paths of sleep. Rest in peace, my beloved friend. I love you."
Please rise. El male rachamim, shochein shochem v'amromim, aמצא מנוחה נכונה, תחת כנפי שכינה. אם קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרגיל המזהירים את נשמת לאה בת דוד ושרה, שהלכה לעולמה. בעל הרחמים יסיריה בסתר כנפיו לעולמים. בצרור החיים את נשמתה, אדוני הוא נחלתה, ותנוח בשלום, בשלום על משגבה, ונאמר Amen.
Amen. I have to add one thing to your Hebrew lesson. In Hebrew, when you get more than 10, you can use the singular as the plural. Eshet Chayil is an entire army, not just a soldier. And the force that Lorraine has walked through life, listen to the stories that have been shared. She wasn't an individual. She created a discipleship of soldiers, the Chayil. And so this week, we'll celebrate Simchat Torah. We will read the closing words of the book of Deuteronomy, and the beginning words of the book of Genesis. And in between, we will say the words chazak, chazak, v'nitchazek. Strength, strength, let us strengthen each other. And that's probably the best way to sum up the eulogies that we've shared today, the stories that we'll continue to share. So there is an end to a piece of the story, but it's an unbroken cycle. Because at the same time that we'll read the end, we continue with the story over again. And so we'll read it differently, because we will have grown a year since the last time that we completed and restarted the cycle. And so we're going to live Lorraine a little bit differently now, as we've ended one piece of this cycle and continue into the next phase of how she impacts the world. And it's in that sense that Kaddish is a prayer that never mentions death. As I said earlier, it reminds us to be thankful to God for the blessings in our lives. It originates as a prayer for study. You would close the book and you would then recite these words, thanking God for the opportunity to grow and to learn. And the rabbis taught us that there's no greater book, no greater text to teach than the lives that touch ours. And so that has become the prayer that we say in memorial, so that we can continue to learn and never say a relationship was. It's a relationship that is and will continue to grow, because we are a people who are always becoming. And so if you would join me in these words, Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabba, ve'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chai echon of yom echon, uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'gala v'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach leolam u'lalmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'tromam v'yitnaseh, v'itadar v'it'aleh v'talal shemei d'kudsha brichu. Le'lam min kol birchata v'shirata, tushvachata v'nechemata, ta'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlomo Rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Ose shalom bimromav, ase shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
May the great name of God be exalted and sanctified throughout the world, which God has created according to the divine will. May God's reign be established in our lifetime and in our days and in the lifetime of the entire house of Israel and the world, swiftly and in the near future. We say, Amen. May God's great name be blessed forever and ever, blessed, praised, glorified, exalted, extolled, honored, elevated, and lauded be the name of the Holy One, blessed is God, above and beyond any blessings and hymns, praises and consolations which are uttered in the world. And we say to that, Amen. May there be abundant peace in heaven and life upon us, upon Israel and this world. May the one who makes peace in the heavens above bring peace upon us, upon Israel, upon the world. And we say,
Amen.
Amen. So go, and may God be with you as you travel. Continue the stories and continue the shared love. And I don't think I have to tell this group, but let be the next time that we all gather, not be at a memorial, but in times of ongoing celebration in life.
Amen.
Rabbi, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I look forward to more times together out with Simplest or over beer.
I love that. You come into the city much, let me know.
I will. I don't get there, but I will.
West Justice. A little bit of this life in the city. In the city.
I love you. You're a lovable guy.
Thanks, Peter. I appreciate it.
I mean that. I'm not a cop.
Rabbi, I think you did phenomenal
Thank
job.
you, Gary.
Both times.
No, thank you.
I thought your eulogy, your chesed, was special and perfect. Thank you.
It wrote itself, you know what I mean? Sometimes it writes
It was
itself.
really special.
You're using the old manual.
I have the new one, but
hang on.
I sort of retired from full-time rabbiting in 1982, so yeah, all of my stickers are here, your stickers are there.
As I shared, I'm getting